Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. So, I want to come to you today with a quick vision that God sent me. And it was a vision of the tribulation, of so many things that are going to happen in the tribulation. It was a tough vision for the fact that my wife and I were allowed to to take part in this vision. Some visions that I have or dreams that I have, I'm actually in it, and my wife or family members are in it also. And so this started off with we were in a city, and there was a lot of panic around us. People were panicking because there were multiple weather devastations that were occurring in the city that we were in, and so everyone was trying to get to the airport. And I remember as we were trying to leave, I saw preachers that had been left behind, preachers that did not make the rapture. They were left there. And I remember they were trying to stop my wife and I from leaving. They wanted us to follow them. Okay. And I remember pushing them aside and leaving. And so we made it to the airport. When we pulled up to the airport, there was all this mass chaos everywhere, just going on everywhere. And people were panicking and running back and forth. Everyone was trying to book a flight to leave. So there was already devastation occurring in the city we were in. But everyone was trying to leave before the next big devastation hit. Okay, so every airline that we went to was all the flights were booked. Okay, so there was mass chaos. There were people fighting. There were people screaming, "The end is near," just different things. Okay. And so I remember my wife and I, we went from airline to airline to airline trying to find a flight that was open. And it was kind of like you had to navigate yourself to the airlines because there were not enough police around to control what was going on. It was like it was just mass chaos, and they just couldn't control it. And so we found one airline that had 2 tickets left for my wife and I. And so we bought these tickets. And I remember as we were going to the plane, they had already closed the door to the plane. And I remember very vividly seeing like the smoke coming up from the airplane's engines where they were already fired up and getting ready to pull off. And so my wife and I, we tried to run around the side to get onto the plane, and the doors were already closed and locked. We were not allowed to get onto it. Although we had paid for these tickets, we were not allowed to get onto this plane. And so we walked away because we realized that all hope was lost, and that was our last alternative. There was nowhere to go. At this time, you could not feel the presence of Jesus anywhere. You could not feel his presence. It was like you were left on your own, and the only thing you could do was try to find somewhere safe. And so at this time, my wife and I, we realized that our last alternative was It was done. We were not able to get on the plane. So we kind of walked around, and of course there was violence going on around us. And soon we found, we wandered, and we were alone, just her and I. And the earth began to crack. There began to be these cracks to form in the ground, like a puzzle. And so these cracks formed in the ground, and we were looking for somewhere just to lay down and die, is what we were doing. But these cracks started forming in the ground. And it was very, very sad ending to it, as we didn't make it. We fell into the ground and didn't make it. And God showed me that this is coming. This is going to be one of the things that's going to happen in the end, is that there are going to everywhere. There are going to be these cracks these major cracks that are going to form in the ground, and people are going to be falling into these cracks, okay? And I thought it was ironic that I saw this, because I remember watching a video where this little boy had a similar dream, and he marked it out on a piece of paper. And I remember watching this maybe last year or the beginning of this year. I don't recall, but I remember watching this and remembering how scary it was that what this little boy was talking about. And God actually allowed me to see it, that there's going to be cracks. Everywhere you go, there's going to be these cracks forming in the ground, and they're going to be big enough for people to fall into these cracks. And as some of the cracks form, people will be nearby and they will fall into these cracks. So this is coming. This is one of the things God showed me. I also, probably about a week ago, had another vision, and maybe a little longer, maybe 2 weeks. And the reason I haven't posted that one is because it's parts of it that I don't understand. Sometimes the visions that God gives us, that God gives me, they're not the easiest ones, and you have to pray for understanding in them. But I do remember half of this vision. I do understand half of it, because he showed again, my wife and I were riding on this bicycle, and we were riding out in the country, her and I, and we came up on this house. And as we rode up to this house, all around this house was everything that you needed, okay? I mean, everything, anything that you need. In other words, the people who were at this house had no reason to go to a store, okay? Everything they needed was there at that house. They had no reason to go to a store whatsoever. And so I remember as we rode up, we did not see anyone, but we saw all these supplies just in stacks in the yard. They were in different stacks all across the yard. And I remember seeing even windows, doors, just a variety of things. And I remember in this dream that we were going to ride past the house, okay? But we were stopped at this house because the bike that we were riding on got hung in some of the supplies that were in front of this house, okay? And so the scene changed, and in a nutshell, when this scene changed, I drove up to a college. And as I got out of my car, there was a man there, and he thanked me for the warnings. And he said, "Prophet Hannah, I want to thank you for the warnings and for your word, because they have truly helped me. And I remember going into this building and coming out, and I remember that there were people outside, and they were afraid, and they would not move. They would just still. They would not move. And there was a devastation that had occurred, and so they were just sitting there. And it was kind of weird because they were sitting there, almost like they were sitting in a roller coaster. But up ahead, there was a disaster where this roller coaster was going, and part of the track had broke off. Okay. And so they couldn't go any further, and they were just afraid. They were just sitting there. And I remember going past them and crawling down from where this disaster had taken out the tracks and everything. And I remember how afraid those people were. And I know the meaning of it is God is showing me that there is a great devastation that is coming, that is going to kill a lot of people. And at the same time, it is going to scare the daylights out of many other people. There are a lot of people that's getting ready to die. Okay? A lot of people getting ready to die. And in this process, it is going to fix a lot of other people, because they're going to become so afraid that they are going to turn to God. They're going to realize that there is nobody else that can help them but God. Now, most people won't they'll be scared, but they won't turn to God. But there's going to be a select group of people who, when this occurs and all these people die, they're going to have a renewed, healthy fear of God. And they are going to turn to God and follow God. Now remember, we're close to the rapture, but there are still people left that have to be saved before the roll call is complete. Not long ago, God gave me a sermon called Roll Call. When I woke up, he just gave it. He said, roll call. God is completing the roll call. Like when you go to class and they call your name, he's completing the roll call, and then you're going to have the rapture occur. And I think many of you have heard me preach on the 70-week prophecy on Daniel chapter 9. That's getting ready to come to a head, and God will turn back to Israel. Okay. So just wanted to come to you today and share that. And I'll be sharing more things. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. God bless you and God keep you.